Hello everyone, this is Aditya and I along with my partner Advait. So today we are going to talk about a man who had no power, no resources and no formal position, yet he became one of the greatest examples of leadership. This is the story of Dashrath Manjhi, also known as the Mountain Man of India. It's not just a story of breaking a mountain, it's a story of great vision and transformation leadership. And by the end of this presentation, you will see how leadership is not about authority, but about action. So, who exactly was Dashrath Manjhi? As shown on the slide, he was born in 1934 in a small village called Gaur in Bihar. He belonged to a marginalized community and lived in extreme poverty. Now, what makes him remarkable is this he was not a political leader, not a CEO, not someone with influence or resources. Yet, through his actions alone, he impacted thousands of lives. He did not have a title, but he had a purpose, and that's the key idea here. Leadership is not about position, it's a choice. And as we all know, every story has a turning point. For Dashrath, it was a deeply personal tragedy. As highlighted on this slide, his wife Falguni Devi was injured while crossing the mountain near their village. Because there was no direct road, medical help was far away, and she died before reaching the hospital. Now, most of people would accept this as a fate, but Dashrath didn't. In his grief, he made a powerful decision. He would carve a road through the mountain himself. This is where leadership begins, with a strong why, something so personal that you cannot ignore it. So basically, he was a man with one vision and one hammer. A massive mountain stood between the village and basic facilities like hospitals and schools. People had to travel near around 55 kilometers around it. Dashrath had a simple but bold vision to reduce the distance to just 15 kilometers by cutting through the mountain. No machines, no funding, no recognition, no team, just a hammer, a chisel, and belief. While others saw an impossible obstacle, he saw a solution, and that's what real leaders do. They see possibilities where others see barriers. So now we're going to talk about the 22 years of his relentless work. Dashrath worked on that mountain for around 22 years from 1962 to 1982. Day after day, summer, winter, rain, with no break, no recognition, people laughed at him. He faced hunger, exhaustion, and isolation, but he kept showing up, and slowly the mountain started to break. This teaches us one of the most powerful leadership lessons. Consistency beats everything. No talent, not resources, just showing up every single day. But the journey was not just physically difficult, it was mentally exhausting too. As highlighted on this slide, people mocked him, they called him mad, no one believed in his vision. He had zero institutional support, no funding, no government help, and for most of those 22 years, he worked completely alone. Now, this is the most important. Before leaders are celebrated, they're often misunderstood, and true courage is continuing even when nobody believes in you. That is the essence of leadership.
Okay, thank you, Aditya. As Aditya already mentioned about the incredible resistance that Darshan Maji faced. So let's look at the actual achievement that changed an entire region. So in this slide, as we already learned in our basic of leadership course, that leadership is an influencing process to achieve a certain organizational objectives. So Manji's objective was to change the status quo of his village. So through a solid rock mountain, he craved a path of 110 long meter and 1.9 meter wide path, which basically making it wide enough for a vehicle to pass. It took him around 22 years of work using just a hammer and chisel. This complete a road that gave the people of Galore village meaningful access to healthcare, education, and market for the very first time. As we see here, one man's grief become an entire community liberation. So that basically proves that a true leadership create a very long lasting impact on others. Continuing this, in this slide we will be focusing on recognition and the legacy that follows. Okay, so moving on his recognition and legacy, he went from facing ridicule to receiving national honor. Initially ignored by institution, was later honored by Bihar state government. Uh, and his story reached people everywhere. It was also adapted into a film called Maji, the Mountain Man. But Unfortunately, he passed away in 2007, but his road and spirit basically endure as a living monument. And in our course, as we discussed, that there was an old psychology of leadership which often focus on a great man or isolated hero, but Manji legacy teaches something very different. It shows that ordinary people can reshape geography. It can also reshape destiny. It basically teaches us that uh, recognition follow the impact, and it cannot be chased. Ultimately, a story of grit basically inspire uh, far longer than a story of power. So, in this, we will head into the core leadership quality. So, what were the core leadership quality that drove him? First is visionary thinking. He saw a road where the world saw only rocks, translating his pain into concrete gold. Second one is perseverance and grit, and he basically take around 22 years of unbroken effort, and he successfully done the job at last. After so much ridicule, after so much weather, there's so much hunger. Then there is a self leadership quality. The third point is self leadership, and there isn't any external support or any sponsor initially. Nobody supports him at first, but as our course material also state that the essence of leadership is basically influencing. So by leadership uh, himself, he later influenced people to just basically follow him in the cause. And finally, the purpose-driven action. So every blow of chisel was basically rooted in the love, loss, and commitment to protect others from his own suffering. So that is something which we should focus on. These are the main four qualities that we looked into the Srit Manji case. Finally, we are heading into the ultimate leadership message. Let me state this. So, Dashrath Manji did not just basically remove a mountain. He removed the belief that it could not be moved. As our course also mentioned, that leadership can also be a product of perfect match between individual and circumstances. So Manji basically matches his circumstances basically perfectly by identifying a systematic problem, not just a personal one. He acted without any access of authorities, resources, or any support. He stay committed long after his motivation faded. But still, finally, he created a public value instead of personal gain. So, what Manji teaches us, that is something we should be very we should look into. Uh, Maji teaches us that uh, before the start before you, uh, he teaches us that is to start before you are ready. You should work even when nobody validates you. This is something most people fail in their own lives. We should solve problem that actually matters, and we should remember the consistency that the consistency is something that is very much needed in any leadership. So finally, a slide concluded. The leadership doesn't require power. It also doesn't require only power position. It basically require courage. It requires consistency and purpose. Uh, Thank you for your attention. This is all from our side.